So today we're doing vinyl graphics for Ayla's Live Tempt. Um, this is her bike here. She wants to get rid of the blue for the Live and the Tempt, maybe on the fork. And she wants to go with orange like her grips, so we're going to go through that process right now. Because I've found that sometimes the manufacturers like to skew their logos when they put them on bikes. So by doing this, it allows me to trace the logo, and then usually I can find it online somewhere, and then I can get a real good representation about what size a logo needs to be. And since I'm trying to cover up the color, I just go a little bit, I make the stroke a little bit bigger in Illustrator. And that should do it. So I'm just trying to trace. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be so it gives me a good representation about what size everything is. So now we're inside. I've got my traces for my contact paper down on my flatbed scanner, and I'm going to scan these at a pretty high resolution so that when I bring them into Adobe Illustrator, I've got a really good base to trace from. So now that our image is saved, let's quit out of our image capture program and launch Adobe Illustrator. Remember that when you make your new image, you want to create it at 100%. So make your document size pretty big. Right now I'm going to work at 12 by 12 inches. Next, import your scan that we just made so that we've got a background to trace our stickers from. Remember to create a new layer so that when you're working on your trace, you can work on the new layer for your trace and have the old image in the background on another layer. You can rotate this image as much as you want to get it straight so we can start tracing. Now I've already found the Live logo in a vector form online, so I brought that into Illustrator, and I'm going to size it to the size of the trace we did on the contact paper and then scanned in. Remember to do all your tracing on a different layer to make it a lot easier than tracing it on the image layer. Also, make the scale of the stroke small so that you can see how much you're covering. We'll adjust that size of the stroke later. remember to lock the image layer. Makes it a lot easier to select your vectors on top. Now we want to zoom in and scale this logo as close as possible to our trace. And if we can, make it a little bit bigger so that we know when we place it on the bike, it'll cover the existing logo. Now the logo I downloaded for some reason didn't have the small dot on the I, so I'm going to go here and trace it. Just remember, if you're doing any freehand tracing, to trace around the outside of the trace that we scanned to make sure that it covers the logo completely. Now we'll select all the elements of the logo and apply a stroke to it to make it much bigger around. Make sure you align the stroke to the outside of the vector, not the inside or the middle. This will make sure that the trace that we just did will fully cover the logo. Now apply a fill to the vectors, go to expand appearance, and then merge all the shapes together, and this will give you one solid shape that the cutter can cut. Now we can duplicate the logo and make the different sizes that we need for the rest of the bike. I decided it would be easier and faster just to hand trace the temp logo. So here is the process that I took now. A little bit faster just to save time in the video. Just make sure that when you're tracing, you always go around the ink from the scan to make sure that it does cover the logo completely on the bike. Whenever you can, duplicate letters. If you've already made a T, duplicate that T. After you've done that, apply the stroke, extract it, and merge the two together. There was another temp logo that we did traced, so take that same logo since you just did it, scale it to the next one. Then I went on to the XCT logo, exactly the same thing, hand trace, make your shapes, apply a stroke, extract the shapes, and merge them back together. Now's a good time to straighten out any logos and also make the multiples if you need them for the bike. This bike had a couple live logos and a couple different temp logos, so we're going to duplicate them now so that when we export them, it'll be much easier just to set up the page to cut with the Cricut. Now that I've got all the logos laid out and duplicate, make sure you save and then do a save as and change the format to SVG. We're going to save it as an SVG 1.0. That's what my Cricut uses. Now I'm going to launch into the Cricut software and import that file. Once the file is placed, just move it into place on your cutting board, making sure that it is small enough to fit within your cutting board. This is less than 12 inches, so I know that it'll fit. Save the project. And now you're ready to make it. Always remember to clean the bike real good before you apply the vinyl, that way there's no dirt or anything, especially on a mountain bike. And now, the vinyl application montage.
Alright, so there you go. That's the finished result of our bike. So, came out pretty good. One thing I have to remember is somehow I ordered the wrong transfer tape and it's not clear. So, always do clear transfer tape. That's it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.